Man, he's been saying a lot of disrespectful stuff. I ain't saying nothing disrespectful to him. Been saying how he's gonna, what he say? He's gonna take my eye or something like that. So, you know, so why would I shake his hand? He's saying all that I'm gonna lose the eye and stuff like that. Would he wanna shake my hand if I say I'm gonna beat his ass to inch his life? I bet he wouldn't wanna shake my hand, right?
You know, I want to cause pain. I want to do damage, and that's not about nothing personal. It's just what we both have to do, you know. And it's, again, I'm just ready to get in now. Look, given the caliber that he's at, unified world champion, he's only lost to Terence Crawford. He feels like he is at that very top, so it doesn't really matter who they put in front of him. That's how he feels, and I'm here to prove that wrong.
I don't care what position he has or what position you have or anybody has. If it's not my family, I can give a about anybody's perception about me.
Errol Spence Jr. and Tim Tszyu have turned their final face-off into a heated war of words, with both fighters sending brutal warnings before they settle everything inside the ring.
As I think he previously said, he's the A side. He can get all he wants. Come fight night, doesn't matter A side, who's got the most amount of money, who's fought this and this. It's just me and him, so that's all that matters.
It won't motivate me further, but I mean, it doesn't matter where I fight. You know, it doesn't matter. I've done it before. I've done it all through the amateurs. It doesn't matter to me. It is what it is. Like I said, like he said, it's gonna be me and him in the ring. So the crowd's not gonna matter. Nothing's gonna matter. It's just me and him.
The moment is getting closer as both finally prepare to meet inside the ring, with savage warnings and knockout promises creating a brutal yet fascinating final build-up.
What happens in this fight?
A lifetime of work in that 36 minutes. That's what I'm doing.
What happens in this fight, Errol?
We don't go to work. It's gonna be work time as long as it lasts. I don't know if it's gonna be 36 minutes like he said. It's gonna be some work.
Might be quicker than that.
It might be.
As the fight approaches, Spence reveals why the fire is burning inside him, accusing Tszyu of threatening him with harsh words before asking for a respectful handshake, which he views as disrespectful.
I don't care. It's just, you know, he says stuff like that, then he want to have a gentleman handshake. That's not things gentlemen say. You say stuff like that, how you want to take my eyesight and things like that. Like, you say things like that, why would I want to shake your hand? But, you know, it's fight week, so it's almost fight time.
While Spence promises to make Tszyu pay for every word said about him, Tim explains his motivation for revenge. He believes Spence has always put himself above others, and the disrespect shown at the press conference has only fueled his frustration. Now he wants to settle everything inside the ring.
I think when I said that was after 2 hours of waiting. Sitting there waiting for this guy to do a press conference, which I changed completely plans for. Of course I was frustrated, but the feeling is that I do want to do damage. I do want to go out there and unleash myself. That's what boxing is about, so that's what it is.
As the countdown continues, recent developments and revelations have left everyone stunned. What was initially seen as Tim claiming he received disrespect from Spence has now turned into a completely different story. Team Spence is accusing Tim of hypocrisy, with Ronnie Shields criticizing his attitude. He believes Tim is trying to make boxing look like a barbaric sport, insisting that threatening to knock out someone's eye is not a sign of respect.
I think Tim is trying to make this a barbaric sport, you know, and saying he go knock his eye out, saying this, saying that about him, you know, and Errol take that as disrespect. You know, it's okay, hey man, I'm gonna knock you out, blah, blah, blah. That's boxing talk, you know? Do boxing talk. Don't bring in, you know, you had that eye in you, I'm gonna knock your eye out, I'm gonna do this. You know, that's disrespect. You know, boxing is boxing. Yes, boxing is a barbaric sport, absolutely. But, it's, you know, being in this sport is certain things you say and certain things you don't say. Then all of a sudden, you want to shake my hand and tell me good luck or whatever, you know? No, that doesn't work.
Further revealing the situation, Ronnie shared that even before the fight was announced, Tim had talked about damaging Spence's eye, despite knowing about his previous retinal tear. He believes those comments crossed a line and were not something to joke about. In his view, Spence would have happily shaken Tim's hand if those words were never said, avoiding unnecessary disrespect between fighters and within boxing.
Did you think that Errol would have shook his hand that time, or?
He would have shook his hand if he wouldn't have been speaking like that before when they announced the fight,
Yeah.
he was saying, "Oh, I'm gonna his eye out. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that." You know, he knowing Errol had that injury. You know, that's it's just disrespect in the sport. And Tim seems like he's a really nice guy. Outside of it, but still, you can disrespect someone by saying, I'm gonna gouge your eye out. I'm gonna, come on, man, this is boxing. I'd knock you out, blah, blah, blah. That's things, that's normal boxing talk.
Yeah.
So do the normal boxing talk. I don't want to gouge your eye out. I don't want to do this. Come on, man. That's just disrespect to the sport.
Breaking it down, Teddy Atlas has also shared his thoughts, noting that both fighters bring unique advantages, and this matchup has created major intrigue in the boxing world. Comparing their styles and abilities, Atlas believes Spence operates at a higher technical level than Tim. However, he also recognizes the danger Tszyu brings, making this a fascinating clash between skill, pressure, and determination.
We don't know if that impact. I'm taking nothing away from Crawford. Crawford is Crawford, and he took him apart. But again, Spence, smaller man or not, was the higher level in my mind, and on paper, the higher level talent fighter than Tszyu. But Tszyu his advantages are obviously, again, simplistic. He's fighting at home. He's been active. Yeah, he's been knocked out twice, but he's been active. He had a couple wins in between his last loss. Build-up wins, confidence builders, all that stuff.
5 years younger.
5 years younger.
But then Atlas shifts his focus and reveals deeper concerns about Spence. He believes the car accident, lengthy layoff, and moving up to 160 pounds after spending his entire career at 147 create a serious challenge. Atlas finds it concerning that Spence himself pushed for the weight jump. However, despite those doubts, he still acknowledges that when it comes to pure skill, talent, and boxing ability, Spence remains ahead of Tim.
Coming back at a different weight class and seeing if he could get it done against a guy who has been knocked out, against a guy whose talent never showed itself to be the level Spence's was when Spence was at that level. But we don't know what Spence is now. We have no idea what level Spence is now. And I find it a little bit, I don't know if it's concerning, but that the naturally smaller man who's moving up, and I get it, after 3 years off, you probably have to move up, but the naturally smaller man who's moving up
Is requesting the change in weight.
is requesting a little change. I don't know, that's a little concerning on top of what's a lot concerning to begin with.
Despite all the disadvantages surrounding Spence, Atlas insists he cannot fully lean toward Tim in this matchup. He believes the possibility of a Spence victory remains because anything can happen once the bell rings. Drawing from past experiences, Atlas explains that he has seen fighters return after long layoffs and struggle unexpectedly, proving that time away from the sport can create challenges no one can predict.
That when you're inactive that long, that alone can be a real problem. That can be a game stopper.
Sure. And he's gone to guys' home countries and backyards before. That's how he won his first world title. He went over to the UK, won the belt versus Kell Brook. So he's not opposed to going into enemy territory, but that's going to make it that much harder if it's a close fight, if it goes to the cards there in Australia.
You know what concerns me about Tszyu a little bit? You're going to laugh because no one else would bring this up, and I'm hesitant to bring it up. But again, because Spence is he's got more expertise to him. He's got more. He's just a more sharper fighter. When he was. Again, it's been 3 years.
Not only the fighters, but their trainers have also shared their final promises ahead of the clash. Jeff Fennick respects Ronnie Shields and Spence, but he wants everyone to remember one thing. Tim is coming to make Spence question his return. He believes Tszyu has a carefully designed plan to confuse Errol, and with constant pressure and aggressive fighting, Tim can take control and dominate the fight.
On Sunday, it comes down to one thing. If Errol makes us fight his fight, Errol will be successful. Tim can do the opposite, which I'm 100% sure we have the plan, and I have the athlete to do that, and we will be successful. So all of a sudden, Errol's going to have to do something he's never done before. He's never fought Tim Tszyu. Tim Tszyu's not Garcia, he's none of those guys. Tim's a unique, amazing pressure fighter that hopefully is doing things now without less mistakes, and that always helps.
Addressing the concerns about the long layoff, Shawn Porter steps into the discussion and believes the time away from boxing is not the biggest issue for Spence. However, he admits that moving up to 160 pounds is a major factor. In his view, the weight jump could create the biggest difference in the fight and may have a greater impact than the long break itself.
Errol doesn't need to shoot to get going. You know, he comes out, it's the jab pumping, and that's just him, you know? So I really don't think 3 years off takes that away from you. You know, the things that would affect Errol, you know, being punched to the body with the 8-ounce glove, they may be in 10s now because this is a catch weight at 160, I believe it is.
Because he's coming a bit heavier.
Yeah, the fact that he's coming in a little bit heavier, you know, that body has morphed over the years. You know, he's gonna have to almost manipulate it a little bit to get to 160. I think that's why they call for that weight to be moved the way that it was. Again, even with that, you're thinking about him having to get down to 160. Think about the kind of commitment it takes or took for him to get down to 160.
Having fought Spence himself, Shawn Porter understands exactly what makes him dangerous. He highlights what Tim must do to have a chance, pointing to the lessons he learned from his own battle with Spence. According to Porter, Tim cannot afford to stand directly in front of him because Spence will break him down. He suggests Tszyu must focus on movement, angles, and avoiding prolonged exchanges.
The one thing that
because you had a great showing against Errol yourself. It was one of the fight of the year, close split decision loss. Where do you think Tim can get the better of Errol?
You got Shawn Porter, who you can say had a really great showing against Errol Spence Jr. Obviously, Terrence Crawford had a great showing against Errol Spence Jr. What did we do? We moved our feet. You know, so that's something that Tim has to be able to do on fight night. And it's not about moving around the ring and all that. The one thing for me that Tim has to do, he has to get off of the line after he punches. What does that mean? Punch, punch. Either move your head, and I like move your head and then step around. You know, I like punch, punch, and then step around. But you can't stay in front of Errol. You give him a stationary target, eventually he's going to beat you down.
As fight night approaches, another major development has emerged, with Shawn Porter changing his prediction. He reveals he was already leaning towards Spence before the fight was announced, but after deeper analysis, he sees a potential scenario where Spence could suffer the same type of breakdown he has witnessed before. In his view, if Tim can force that situation, Spence could be heading toward another damaging loss in his career.
This fight was announced, I'm like, yeah, Errol's got this. You know, I'm looking at experience, I'm looking at just the subtleties of their style. Errol wins, and I've been Errol wins before. Like when I heard about this fight,
when they were discussing it, when it was coming together,
and it's like even last week, I'm like, yeah, Errol, no problem. You know what I mean? Man, I'm on the plane, and you know, you got 16 hours to just sit around and think, and it's like Tim says he wants to go across the ring and punch Errol Spence in the mouth, and I'm like, the craziest thing is that could work, and because of everything that Errol's been through, because of the 3-year layoff, and you know, you don't know how built up the body is at this point in time. You're wondering, like, is punching Errol in the mouth something that could really get him over the top in this fight? I'm starting to lean that way.
Okay.
Stepping into the conversation, Roy Jones Jr. has also shared his thoughts on the matchup. According to him, Spence is the fighter most likely to win, but he places one major condition on that prediction. Jones believes Tim must make a huge impact within the first 6 or 7 rounds. If he fails to do so, Spence could take over, and once he gets past that point, he expects him to become extremely dangerous.
Yeah, and I've seen Errol switch to orthodox.
Yeah. He can do it all.
Yeah.
He can do it all. Like I said, when you go back and look at his tapes as an amateur, he had the total package.
If he beats Tszyu, and you know, it's probably going to be a slugfest.
Yeah, it's going to be a slugfest.
It's going to be a slugfest. Who are you picking in the fight?
Man, it's a hard call, but I'm going with Errol. I'm hoping Errol can withstand the onslaught that Tszyu going to probably put up early, because if you get past 4 or 5 rounds, Errol definitely going to beat him, because Errol, to me, is stronger later than anybody fight. You get him past round 6, and you got a problem in your hand. I don't care who it is. Especially if he ain't beat it up or nothing in the face. If you get to round 6, you got a problem, because that's when he starts to come alive.
Yeah.
Ask Ugas.
Ask Brooke, right?
Yeah.
Ask Ugas.
Speaking on the fight, boxing legend Barry Michael believes Tim has the power to secure a knockout victory. He expects a highly competitive battle, but feels the outcome will not go the distance. According to Michael, regardless of which fighter gets his hand raised, the contest is likely to end before 5 rounds. His prediction highlights just how much danger and excitement both fighters bring into the ring.
They can quite often be career-ending fights, so it's going to be really interesting. But I fancy Timmy Tszyu to win by knockout. To be honest, either way, I don't reckon it goes beyond 5 rounds.
Yeah, right. What does Tim, in your eyes, need to do to get that win, Barry? How does he sort of approach this fight?
Well, he's fighting a southpaw, and his record's not. I suppose. I mean, Fundura's a freak. He's a 6'5.5" southpaw, 11 stone, 69.5. It's crazy. Fundura, Errol Spence is about the same size as Timmy, same height. He's a southpaw. I don't think he's anywhere near as fast as Fundura.
This fight presents 2 possible outcomes, with the loser potentially facing retirement, while the winner could secure another major payday afterward. Barry also explains the path Tim needs to follow to defeat Spence, highlighting the advantages he believes Tszyu can exploit. He predicts that once the fight begins, and Tim starts applying pressure, the odds will quickly shift in his favor, creating a difficult night for Spence.
He's a big puncher, but, is he still the puncher he was after 3.5 years out of the ring is a serious comeback, and 6 months out of the ring can be enough to damage your timing and your ability and your mental part of it as well. I really think that the odds are pretty even at the moment, basically looking at the different betting agencies. But I just think Timmy or Errol Spence, I think, was favourite. I think that'll change. I think Timmy will go in the fight in the ring by the time they get in the ring as favourite, and I think he should be. But look, it's going to be really interesting because, as I said, whoever loses this fight undoubtedly retires, and whoever wins it has got another big payday in front of him.
Meanwhile, Spence has made a major adjustment by bringing Ronnie Shields into his corner, creating excitement for a fresh version of the former champion. Zab Judah believes this new partnership can help Spence rediscover his best form after the Crawford defeat. Known for his confident predictions, Judah feels the changes made during camp will play a crucial role and expects Spence to push through for a late-round stoppage win.
Move your head, throw the punches, slide around, keep moving. Move your head, slide around, keep moving. Walk your feet. Use a jab. I mean, listen, I know for a fact we're gonna see a different Errol Spence than we've seen in the Terrence Bud Crawford fight, and I'm predicting that Errol Spence stops Tim Tszyu. 100%.
My boy says stops. Yo, you've been doing good with the stoppages lately, Soup.
I've been doing good, man. I've been on a roll, right? I've been on a roll.
You're calling them stoppages.
A late stoppage. The reason why I pick a late stoppage because Tim Tszyu gonna be very sharp early. He's gonna be looking to fight. He's young. He got a lot of heart. He's ferocious. He has tenacity, and he's gonna come in there and try to make this happen. You know what I'm saying? And I think that maybe for a while because of Errol Spence's layoff and the long layoff, he's gonna take him a couple rounds to figure it out.
According to Judah, his late stoppage prediction comes from understanding the challenges Spence faces after a lengthy absence from competition. He respects Tim's toughness and expects him to be dangerous during the opening rounds. Judah believes Spence will remain patient, analyze his opponent's movements, and gradually take control once he settles into the fight. He also trusts his prediction, hoping to repeat the success of his previous Boots Ennis call.
Once he figured it out, I think later on in the fight, the big fish will turn back into the big fish, and he'll walk Tim Tszyu down, and he'll get a late stoppage. I'm predicting around the 9th round, though. Maybe the 9th round. The 9th round sounds pretty kosher to me. I need you guys to keep these tapes. Remember what I said, so that when it happened. Remember, I predicted almost what's his last boy? From Philly, Boots.
Ennis.
I said 4th round, and the 4th round came. This it was almost over, brother. Everybody was like, oh, shit. I told you. But I knew it was gonna be a stoppage though.
Adding his perspective, Gary Russell Jr. shares his uncensored thoughts on the Spence versus Tim matchup. He wants Spence to win, but he admits having serious doubts about his chances. Russell believes the lengthy layoff and the lack of recent proof showing Spence's current boxing shape create major questions. He respects Spence's ability, but feels the uncertainty surrounding his return cannot be ignored.
I'm gonna go with Spence. I honestly want Spence to win the fight. You know, I have more camaraderie with Spence. I have a better relationship and stuff like that with Errol. But I'm not sure. I don't know how Errol is. I ain't seen him train. I still had my reservations before he even fought. Terrence Crawford. I had my reservations then. I felt like maybe I felt as though I wanted him to get a little more healthier mentally.
Yeah. Gary Russell Jr. breaks down the high-stakes battle between Spence and Tszyu, delivering a detailed look at what could decide the outcome. He examines Spence's long absence, weight change, and sharp boxing skills while analyzing Tszyu's non-stop pressure and power. Russell explains whether Spence's experience and technical ability can overcome the challenge, or if Tszyu can create a defining moment in his career.
Even when everything is going wrong, to have a certain level of belief, trust, and faith to go out there and attempt to execute the stuff that's been given to you. Is he going to be confident enough in that relationship that they building with one another within this short period of time? I don't know. I do believe that just stylistically, what I accustomed to what Errol bring and Tim Tszyu, I think stylistically it's going to be a great fight. It's going to be a good fight all the way around the board. As far as me picking a winner, I'm not sure. I would say I want Errol to win, though. I'm going with Errol on it.
Spence and Tim are now moments away from answering every question inside the ring. Will Spence prove that his comeback and new training camp have created a stronger fighter, or can Tim shock the world and end his return story? Drop your prediction below, subscribe for more boxing updates, and stay tuned for the final result.